Well, hello and welcome to Zwift Live. This is our weekly community feature for racing in the Zwift community. I'm Nathan Guerra, your host today, and we are in with our second broadcast of the Zwift Games. Today, we are featuring stage number 3 in the Downtown Eruption, a new course specifically that was launched for the Zwift Games. It's running March 10th through the 13th. You can run through all of the stages of Zwift Games on your own. Zwift has set up a really awesome site actually to follow along with your Zwift Games competition throughout an entire GC. Definitely be here to check out our live streaming for it and head on over to zwiftgames.com to find out more information. Last week we covered stage number 1 with some Mercury madness, and it was absolutely awesome. But as usual, I've got my co-host with the mostest. It's going to be Dave Toll right alongside me to cover all the action going up the volcano today, Dave.
Yeah, thanks, Nathan. Hey, great job, my friend. The coverage on GCN. You really were awesome. Your insight was tremendous, and you kind of know this course better than most at this point, I would say, as that was the second act of the show on Saturday. So these racers, and did Ruben Daunt, what kind of day did he have? I saw he just jumped in with us, Nathan.
Ruben actually, you know, it's funny you mentioned that because at the end of the broadcast for the men's race, I really wanted to throw in there that Ruben Daunt made a top 10. And that's big because he's just getting in to esports in the last year. We featured him, you know, he's one of these up and coming that all of a sudden you see him sneaking into those top 10 situations. It's really great to see because he's put so much investment into becoming an esports athlete.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Really am. So it'll be great. There's a lot of recognizable names in this field, actually. So you, I don't know how you pick and choose these races sometimes, but you always seem to find the golden ticket. That's what we've got. So
scouring. I do this. I scour forever looking for who's the athletes. We're looking through lists. We're checking the stats. You know.
I assume you used AI. I don't know. I just felt like
yet.
AI was.
I don't have the Zwift AI quite down. I haven't gotten the algorithm, completely down yet. But I'll keep working in my little lab over here to see what we can do. Totally kidding. Let's take a quick look at the course. What do you think about this one, Dave?
Yeah, I love it. I really do. I mean, what it's built for, which is to get a sprint stage together here. This is what we're going to see is going to be a little bit different, however, than the racing on Saturday on GCN, because here this group is going to be looking for a GC time, not the points that they were racing for, right? So it's in everyone's best interest to keep coming over the top and keep the speed high. So that adds to my thought, Nathan, that a likely big group sprint come thundering in should be what we see. What do you think?
Yeah, Downtown Eruption can be a tough one because we've got this climb in the middle of it. We are in the climbing stages. The point is to make your way.
Do you drop these guys, though? I mean, like 60 of them, I think, will be able to hang in if they catch the draft.
At the top, I don't know. This is the long look. Okay, 6 minutes.
Let's let them prove it.
6 minutes. It's a tough climb. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It's a good question. It's a really good question. If they can get rid of. I think you will get rid of about half, maybe 3/4 of the pack.
Okay, you know what it reminds me of a little bit, even though we're not doing 280 kilometers beforehand, kind of like the Paggio in the upcoming Milan-San Remo, right? Where it's like not every sprinter is going to make it over here, but the ones on a good day will.
Yeah, and good call. Now, you also do have the kick to the top of the hilly KOM, though, at the end, what we have called many a times, right, in real life. We've had those awesome events that Zwift would put on, and we've seen that so many times. That was actually the first World Championships was on that, and I think that this ending here, if you've got a match, that's what it's really going to be all about. Those who can make it. If you're coming back after getting dropped on the volcano, good luck on that hilly KOM, honestly.
Yeah, Ashley Moolman-Pasio and Jason Osborne, right, on the forward KOM. And that, I mean, the most featured climb in Strava history as well. If you haven't been up the forward KOM, you've not been living right.
100%. Well, next week, just so everybody knows, we will be in with stage number 5. There's still stage number 4 in between then and now. But just so you know, everybody, we'll be doing the ZG25 Queen stage for our broadcast. If you do want to get involved, ZwiftGames.com, March 3rd through the 30th. Jump on in to some racing. It's going to be absolutely awesome. We'd love to see you actually in some of our coverage. We are covering A-Pens mainly across and advanced, just as a heads up, everyone. But it will be a lot of fun to jump in and see you all race, or just let us know how it's going. Tag us actually on social. We love to see it.
I wonder if Ruben's going to look to get a better time, Nathan, and then go back to Saturday, right, in a time machine and be able to apply. Because for you, if you're out there racing in the Zwift Games, you can race multiple times. So there's so many different levels of this. Taking a look at the pen, we're inside of 30 seconds to launch. They've entered the code. It's been approved. Here we go. This is going to be fast and furious out here. Some big names that we'll talk about. I mean, certainly we'll see riders attacking within the first few K, as no one's going to give this one away without a real battle. That's for you. See that Kuba is starting? Kuba Standerski, Nathan, the Polish rider in the mix. Leo Lam out of Hong Kong. I think the real rider to watch today for me is going to be out of New Zealand, Joshua Haggerty. Look at the raw watts that he makes. He's not that big. I mean, he's right in that sweet spot for a sprinter today, 76 kilo. He can make, 1,148 watts for 15 seconds. That's top of the table.
Jumping in with Teppo Lorio. Good to see him jumping. I have been watching his Tempo. You're funny. Well, it's great to see him back. Actually, it's been a little while, and I think
at least no kidding. I didn't know that we'd see him joining. I mean, Teppo's such a worldly person, right? You could hear that he was riding his bike across Antarctica, Nathan, and you think, oh, that tracks.
Yeah, and Teppo, I think he definitely is into training mode to get back on form at this point. He's been chatting a little bit about that on his socials, training to get ready to go. So great to see Teppo out here today.
I'll have to, I'm surprised I haven't seen that on his socials. My algorithm needs to be tweaked. I want more Teppo. Brunel here. That's a very familiar name if you've been around cycling in this world. And Belgian Gail Brunel.
These guys are like
who races.
Full gas from the get-go.
Yeah.
Like,
I would wonder. Yeah.
What was that?
Wow.
Gail, and then all of a sudden zero. I mean, this may be cone material. I mean, we'll wait and see what happens here, but he is out. I mean, this is insane. Now back to 5.7. Okay. 4.1, making a little bit more sense.
Curious Capybara remains in the mid 7 watts per kilo, which is possible. Someone's reaching for a cone. I'm thinking we'll see, because this is causing quite a split. So, Nathan, this just went absolutely ballistic right now. We got a complete Donnybrook going on here. This is going to be the first of many tests. I mean, can you look into what's going to happen here in the next minute, Nathan? Is this going to be as disruptive?
I didn't expect this right from the get-go here, but I guess this little punch, it's a perfect little kicker to cause some separation, get the downhill on the other side of the hilly K1, because you only do this little, we didn't anticipate this. I should have talked about this section of course actually early on, because the first half of hilly KOM, it's a sharp punch and you can make some separation, get onto the downhill.
What happened? Yeah, what happened on Saturday right through that sector, Nathan?
Oh, well, actually, we were all sprints. It was all sprints. This is stage 3, so all sprints.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's all right. All good.
So we're moving into, this is state, right, exactly. They're grouping the broadcasts into stage 1 and 2, already happened. Coming up will be this stage. They haven't raced this yet. So I apologize. That makes no sense with my Ruben Daunt comment then either. Actually, he's previewing.
I was going to message you and say, hey, no. And I kind of left it. I was like, okay, great.
For some reason, I thought we were going to be stage 2. That completely.
Yeah, we are skipping because they're only 3 days at a time. So.
We did stage 1 as the first broadcast, but trying to get 4 races in, or 5 races packed into 4 weeks doesn't work for us. So the stage that gets dropped is stage 2. We're in with stage 3. You've got what looks like a 9-rider front group coming together here, Nathan, and the Finnish Express is right in there. Tepaloria, I wouldn't say Tepalorio started this fire, but he kicks some oxygen on the flames.
I mean, he was the one that pushed it over the top of the climb. He's starting now. He sees them coming back, and he wants to extend this, but they're just going to get back on terms. They're going to have to punch again to make this make sense through this left-hand turn into the downhill onto the sandy section.
Yeah, and Nathan, this is where, like so many times we've talked about, is it worth it? What's the ultimate outcome for this effort? Now, if you're dropping sprinters out of this group, yeah, it has a value to you. If you're making these huge efforts, it's all going to come back together, and I might put you 1/2 step behind right here. But you have to know when to fish or cut bait as well. No point in continuing this tilt against windmills like Don Quixote, right? You have to realize that's a windmill, not a dragon. I'm going to fight dragons, and this is going to be another. But this is exactly what Teppo wanted. So he was hoping that they'd make another run at it. Their position with just a couple seconds dangling off the front, but that's enough that this is still a breakaway, Nathan.
This can still happen with the firepower here with Teppo Lorio and these other two, the capybara, who's not chilling out. I mean, usually capybaras are just hanging out by the water in Brazil. That's what I noticed, actually. But they're full gas today. So this capybara is no normal capybara. They're a gigantic looking rodent. That's what they like. Yeah. I don't know if they're in the rodent. Yeah. I don't know if they're actually in the rodent category, but they look like they're in the rodent category. If you ever seen Princess Bride, think something cuter than the rats in Princess Bride. Much cuter. They're like a giant gerbil, like huge looking gerbil. So Teppo backs off now. It looks like Curious is going to stay Curious out the front with Korzaska now.
Okay, and this is going to be Jeffrey Malure. There's a well-known superstar of esports. That should get some attention, as a matter of fact, with the Frenchman in this group, and then Teppo Lorio joining here. Nathan, this has gone out to almost 3 seconds. It will hit 3 seconds right now. Wow, what a spicy race we've got out here.
I think Jeffrey Malure is waiting up for Teppo at this point. I think the other two off the front, perhaps we'll see how that ends up for them on the day, as these are open and we don't have checks. I'm not going to make a call out too much, but at 7, we're getting into beyond Poggy level if this lasts a little bit too long, but Ruben, and now the fun thing for me here is that you've got verified riders with Teppo, Ruben, and Jeffrey Malure chasing them down together, which is kind of fun, actually.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting there. And we've learned a lot about what indoor specialists can do versus outdoor riders. And there are some stunning differences, I'd say, but I don't know that they're that stunning.
Well, now on the front here, who is this going to be? Timon Kruger riding for. So, let's take a quick look here. And Kruger.
That's another verified.
Beast mode. That's Beast mode rider.
Exactly. Timon is solid. Reputation is really good, actually. So, and Kiko Areal up there as well, the Spanish rider, Nathan. There's another known quantity. So we're taking a look at a really high level. Chasing down. Yeah,
good on them. Right now the question is whether or not that they can bring
they work
back,
well together there.
And they're going to do it, I think. I have a feeling that they may be able. Ruben Dant off the front here, if they can continue on. Now we're a little bit of reprieve, actually. So it looks like, is Dant actually making that break, though? Is he out of... Oh, he did. Nice job to jump onto the freight train here. Ruben Dant's going to be able to sit in at 3.2 watts per kilogram. And Dant now with the getaway train.
Yeah, this is interesting. Watch these gaps here going out to 12-ish seconds now. And trying to look at what's going to happen with the chase, because the gap is growing here, Nathan. They're extending this advantage. It's not that long of a race. So much climbing here. It's going to be a long day in the saddle. Inside of 14K to go.
Like in the setup here from Ruben Dant with the Tron bike and his Belgian kit.
So
really nice look.
137 meters of climbing over 19.5 kilometers of racing here. It's not a ridiculous amount, that's for sure. It's going to take a very well-rounded rider like Dant to pull this one off.
It actually suits him, I think. Actually, this kind of a course, it suits him a lot. He is a punchier rider. He can hang on just enough, I think, over the top of this climb. The other thing is, behind there are probably some pretty good climbers here that are waiting for the actual uphill to begin. It will start in just a second here. They'll be taking a left-hand turn onto the climb official as Zaxel, number 1. He's definitely number 1 at this point with the capybara right on his wheel here, coming out of Canada, pushing on at 4.6 watts per kilogram. Looks like capybara's chilled out just a little bit.
I mean, Yeah, I mean, it's like this is a high level, a big pace being made. The fact that Ruben Dant isn't coming through for a pole, or is he? Now he is, or no, he's not. That tells me that this maybe he's doing the best he can with what he's got, to tell you the truth. Surf this group as far off the front as you can. Why not?
Yeah, 100%. Let's move our way back here and see who is toward the front end of the main pack. It is going to be Ewig from R2 now. The German rider starting to make his way into the climb. 3% gradient at this point with 12.7 kilometers to go. They've got 20 seconds on them. Can they make that up? I think Ruben's going to have a tough time to hang on with that crew, though, that's up there.
Yeah, what do you think? If you're Ruben, I mean, I don't know. Fortune favors the brave, right? It's just kind of a weird scenario.
I mean, you try and hang on and get the best workout you possibly can, regardless of whether or not whatever's going on there is what it is. I tend to think that I tend in the casual space of racing on Zwift that Terminators make you Terminator. So I personally get frustrated in the moment, but then love the workout that I actually get afterwards.
And it's interesting. This is kind of a self-policed level that we're racing here. It's not the same thing as what you see with dual verification on GC. I know a decent number of these riders certainly meet that standard, but it does. I mean, again, there's a good reason why you want to see people keeping in check. So the Curious Capybara lives up to it here. Still sitting on 6 watts per kilo.
Email odd here. This is the Outboards, Dave. We're familiar with them.
Yeah, actually, they made a big. It's a Swedish-based team that I'm going to say a year ago. They kind of made their introduction to ZRL level racing.
Yeah, so they've been around.
It's not 2 seasons back, is it? I believe it was last season.
The Outboards have been around for quite a while, but I think that they renamed themselves. Because there was a Swedish, their leader for sure has been around for quite a while. I've had him on way back, but definitely made their breakout into the upper echelons of the racing actually, though, because they were like a B category team for a while. So definitely. Now I'm seeing a Canadian national champion there. I believe that's going to be Yeggs. I believe he earned that just a couple of weeks back. So. Good to see him making his way in and amongst the crews here. That's Dan Ziegler, actually.
Taking a look at a rider that it's nice to see out of Hong Kong up in this group, Leo Lam. Now, how familiar are you with Leo? I feel like, I mean, when you look at the work that's being done lately, definitely an up-and-coming rider here. Sitting up and well positioned today as well. You can see just right near the front, but not on the front, more or less, thereabouts.
178 beats per minute here, currently coming from Leo as they push on. It's going to flatten out here for just a second. If you're looking forward to your race on this volcano, definitely this is a goal right here. Making it to this section, of course, will be a massive huge boost to your ability to hang on, get a little bit of draft through this section. And as you do, rest up just a tad. Oh, I didn't notice Brandlin now doing exactly that from ESRT. He's here. Teppo Lorio as well. Jeffrey Millar, all of them knowing this is the section where you keep the heart rate as down as you possibly can, because we're about to see a big surge from the rest of the pack. Now, Lamb here, just talking about him a moment ago, now starting to make his move, 450 watts now, it looks like, with a big kick, as you can see. And right behind him, it is going to be the chase is on. Not sure. Let's see if this is all going to stick together. Dave may have been correct. Yeah. Earlier, he said that this was going to maybe be all together over the top with more than half of the field. Dave, you might have been correct. I think Dave's still looking to, I think we got a little bit of audio for just a moment with Dave here, but now Lamb pressing on at the front. Can he hold on to the gap he's established now? 2 seconds it looks like, but now coming across it is going to be Ali Hitchin. And then Onions from Mick Onions here from RWE Sports. Kiko Ariel is also there right behind, but it's going to be Al Hitchin who now comes across. It's still 47 seconds up here. Ruben Dant able to hang on. Curious Capybara actually going backwards. Interesting enough. Dave,
hey,
interesting. Nathan. Yeah, you're good to go here, Dave.
Sorry, I apologize. 100% on my end there, tech issue. I heard you saying, "Hey, Dave, you might have been right," and then it cut out, and I was like, "Wow." Yeah, I was obviously confused at the start of the broadcast on this course, but these riders kind of lived up oddly to what I was saying, Nathan.
They did. That's the funny thing.
Yeah,
we'll see how much longer they stick together because we're about to have that final kick over the top, which is very difficult to stay with it if you're already at limit. A lot of times with the final little gradient at the top, it does get up into the double digits for just a moment, I think. A lot of times they'll sprint over the top, and if you don't got that to go with, the speed can pick up and it's onto a downhill, you're out the back.
I mean, it's boy, for someone who doesn't Zwift, it's kind of hard to explain how dramatic the effect is, isn't it? I mean, I guess if you ride in real life, you would know the same thing, what it's like to have a peloton of 80 people swooping down on you. It's merciless.
Yeah, and the roll through speed, the reality of, the pack able to work together to kind of snowball over and over again.
Yeah, the classic climber's dilemma. You work so hard to get every second you can on this climb, and then it's amazing how easily that peloton gets it back once you flip the script on the race. Zwift Games, beautiful arch there as we make our way through. Nathan had good job staying with Ruben Daunt right here, as that's going to be the capybara chasing here in, we'll call it third wheel. Then Peloton really starts back with Mick Onions. He's an RWB rider. I love those guys. We're going to have Richie Sheeran on the Zwiftcast in a couple episodes, I believe. Richie will make his appearance from RWB. Love those guys. Good to see that green jersey up on the front here. A couple of riders for RWB here.
Yeah, good to see RWB showing up, making themselves. No, Redondo now making a move. Now another kick here. Here comes Danny Ziegler now. Yeah, he's a Canadian age group champion, now making his way to the front. This is going to be still within the top 5 now, trying to get a good time. A little bit of an arrow, power up over the top. It's going to be Standarski now coming out of Poland. Another rider to be watching.
Let's take some inventory. Nathan, do you mind? No one likes inventory. No one likes inventory day, do they? If you ever worked in a bike shop, you know what a nightmare that was. But this looks like a group of 30 to me in front of us here that make it through that gauntlet. Now they should activate chase mode here. Gap is going to go. Yeah, I mean, let's see what they've got ahead of them. I would say, though, advantage. I think the winner is in the group that you've got on cam right now, Nathan.
Ruben Daunt. I think Ruben's going to.
You think he stays? I'm sorry.
Away.
I'm seeing that at 55. I apologize. Ruben Daunt does have a very good chance of staying away out here. No doubt.
Up in the 10 watts per kilogram, getting into a super tuck. Really smart the way he's playing that.
Too.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at a verified top. I mean, Nathan, I think it's fair to say a verified top 10 esports racer today. He's in that super elite group, the hierarchy, the vanguard.
Depending on the course, I'd agree with you. I mean, he's got a really good punch on him and he can hang on, right? And so because of that, he definitely is, I'd say top 10. He's right on the edge there. And he did make top 10 at Zwift Games. Big deal, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. Big deal for sure. And he knows he'll have the depth and the understanding of his abilities and knows how to meter out this effort here. Because it's going to be a tough 7K time trial, no doubt.
Especially if that group behind gets any kind of, motivation, roll through motivation, but they're not really working together back there. They're just looking at each other.
It's actually staying right at, 55 seconds. So a suboptimal chase, a sub-inspired, I should say, chase. And you're 100% right. If an inspired group decided to turn that into a 30-man team time trial, I think they'd have a shot of bringing him back, but not this. Not now, not enough, boys.
No, they're really just kind of hanging out, it looks like, at the front here. Kruger into a super tuck. Nobody punching the big orange numbers to come through with the roll through. So that's going to change things up completely as to whether or not Daunt can make this happen. So it looks like Ruben Daunt going to be able to make this happen. You can see 62 kilometers per hour behind from Brandland. Well, Daunt actually catches Core.
Catching.
What? Now that shows you he knows what he's doing. I mean, Core... It's a tough one here. He seems to just be able to spin 6 watts per kilogram, but he wasn't. I mean, the experience here from Daunt, there's the reality that Daunt is so experienced. He knows that you don't just spin the whole time.
Right.
You get into a super tuck and punch and get into a super tuck and punch over and over again, and you reserve the energy that you need. And now Core says that he's been caught, backs it off to 3.7. It's going to be a tough one, I think, out here to beat Core. It's essentially the
kind of racing a ghost or so. You don't really know.
John O'Connor,
have
kind
you
of
ever
situation,
heard of this rider before?
2029.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting
Here we
down.
go. Ruben, though, big kick. Like to see it. 12 watts per kilogram. Punching. He's not going to give up the ghost.
So if you're curious what we're talking about, you could probably reference the chat. I'm not looking today.
No,
actually,
I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave it alone out here today.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Don's right there with him. So, you don't want to make too big of an assumption.
Yeah,
I don't like doing
so
that. Like, we know a verified rider is here with Core. So, like, yes, there
Until
is
we learn differently, it's a trust but verify situation.
Exactly.
Maybe that's the best way to put it.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, we've been this has been, since moment one. This kind of situation. So just to be honest and transparent, don't really know this rider. It's certainly possible. I mean, we do know Ruben. We've seen Ruben being verified and seen the duels and that kind of thing through history. So this would be an eye-opening or eyebrow-raising ride, but doesn't mean per se that it's anything other than what it appears to be.
Yeah, and so what this also brings up then is the great conversation to have
fairness
about
to the
how
athlete,
do you
Nathan.
bring,
Right.
fairness to the athlete, as well as being in a situation where, it pushes the platform forward in some ways about, how does this advanced get dealt with, kind of a situation. So,
and one more point while we have a moment looking at our two leaders here, it's also been pretty well verified of variances in equipment, and there's times when riders just don't really know. Right? You're new to this. You've got a trainer that maybe is reading, kind of dramatically wrong, but you don't know. And I've had a couple folks that I've gotten to know through the Zwift community that had a tough entry. Whether it was things like sticky watts or just not understanding the rules, but once they were told the rules kindly, fairly, but firmly, they modified, changed, and became great esport athletes. That names that you would recognize. I'll put it that way, right? So to be fair to everybody, hey, sticky watts it's a little vague at times. So you might be doing it and not really know you're doing it, kind of. And maybe you feel like this doesn't seem right, but yeah, you got to learn. Same thing here. The riders, some of them maybe have a trainer that's not quite reading right.
Yeah. 100%. Well, Capybara is still trying to make things happen. Ruben Don's going to have his work cut out for him up here, I have a feeling. What I'll say, though, also is I do believe in order to be in the results overall, you may have to I'll have to double check here and see what the rules say.
So the heart rate is an element here of verification, right? It's really complex when you think about all of the different levels of racing that we have. And it's one of the biggest challenges that esports has.
It is one of the biggest challenges by far. And now looking through here, though, we've got Brandon
felt like I was pretty politically correct through all of that while being honest, though, right? I mean,
yeah, it's a tough one.
That's the gist of it.
It is a really tough one. As you said, we've been dealing with it from the get-go. Now, the thing I do want to highlight here is the ride from Ruben Dont.
This is fantastic.
It is, to be able to hang on and be with this rider here at this point too. It's a big effort. Ruben's obviously up in the 177
This was like me
beats
hanging
forever.
onto the bot Coco today. Similar, leveling up, Ruben.
Yeah, huge. Now, Capybara still trying to bring this back. As you can see, 9.9 seconds now back, 2.2K to go. They just got to climb up to the top.
2-on-1 though. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be really tough here. It's down to,
2-on-1. I like how you're even saying this situation is just essentially not just one Terminator, but two. Right?
Bringing it down though dramatically. As a matter of fact, this is also interesting here to see how quickly that gap is coming down to a 7.5 watt per kilo effort right now. Inside of 2K to go, and they've given up a second and a half in the last half K.
I don't know. I mean, how is Ruben going to hang on to this? Because Core's just
He's
ramping
actually
it up
having some
to 8
trouble.
watts per kilogram.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow, man. Ruben having to put out the effort up the climb before the climb. I mean, this whole thing here is like the Ruben Daunt workout special is what we're getting before we get the Samuel Brandland battle to the top as he leads things out behind. That'll also be an interesting one.
That has gone out to, remember it was 55 when last time we checked. It's out to 71 seconds now for the peloton. So Ruben Daunt in a league of his own out 100%. Here today.
What can he climb at now? That's going to be the question. I mean, seriously, after that, it's going to be a big question here as Daunt now gets dropped here before we even hit the climb. I mean, he knew he had to back off. I mean, it's just, he's not going to be able to hang on to that. I mean,
he's never worked harder to hold a wheel and get dropped.
Right? And can the capybara now?
As a matter of fact,
question. What's going to happen behind? Because he could just get caught by the Canadian then.
So that gap went out to 14 from Ruben. So that it was down to 8.5 at one point. So actually, Ruben was able to hit the jets there as far as holding on for the silver. It's gone to almost 6 seconds now to our leader back to
6.4 watts per kilogram as the capybara. He's in the distance here. Come on, Ruben, all the way to the top. I'm like cheering. I'm cheering for Ruben, but I think the capybara is coming too fast at this point.
This final sprint. Rider, Curious Capybara here, Nathan, is closing this down like nobody's business. I don't think Ruben's going to sweat that, though. To be honest,
I wouldn't either. We'll be calling it for Ruben, in my opinion. But good job on the workout there.
Wow. You know who would be getting dropped right now?
You
know who'd be getting dropped would be Tadej Pogačar. Big time getting dropped right now. Yeah.
Well, good on everybody for their workout at the front. That's what I always got to say. Not here to shame people, but good on Ruben for trying to hang on to that. And maybe we got to have a little bit of a figure out.
The stretch here, Nathan, I would estimate that I have called, and you as well, but I think I've done even more than you in one rare category, and that would be live announcing people finishing on this stretch
100 times,
here.
200 times?
More? No. Tens of thousands of times.
Like, seriously, many times.
Tens of thousands is exaggerating, but thousands.
Thousands. I think thousands would probably be right. Daunt across the line here. He's going to be taking what I'll call the preliminary results first. Lamb here now at the front of the pack, it looks like, as this is going to be the next riders up as Daunt finishes up.
We've had some extraordinary performances today in our field. This group, though, in a lot of ways, I think they could feel like they're racing for silver medal. People aren't going to question Ruben Daunt, believe me, but they certainly will be racing with their hearts in their throat. Nathan, what an effort from seems
Leo
interesting.
Lam. Apologies on
there
that.
You go. It is Leo Lam. Wow. Yeah. Hong Kong's hero right here, hitting out with authority and looking pretty good. You got to hold on here. A lot of horsepower back in that group. Even though you might say, he's got it. Well, he does have it now, Nathan. Good job today, Leo Lam. That's almost a win in and of itself here.
Kiko Rio now sprinting out with Jeffrey Malor. Oh, I think Kruger just barely got that one, actually. Nicely done by Kruger for the field sprint, as there was a breakaway at the last moment from Leo Lam. Nicely done by Lam there.
So, it's also worth remembering this is part of this GC month-long Zwift Games that's going on. Stage 3 out here today, first of the 2 climbing stages. So I don't know if these guys will want to come back and do that again or not, but they have the opportunity.
I don't know if they want to come back and do that or not. I like that.
That's up to you.
As it was so incredibly tough. Jumping around a little bit here, see if we can get back in with a few of our riders. No, we can't. So let's go ahead.
This time slot was advanced A's only, or this group only, so we don't even have the option to go find a B or C field. They're not out there. Let's take a look at the results, though, on top of the table here today with the 7 and 7.4 second advantage because GC time does matter, and that's Cor Zaxal, number 1, 26:22. The winner's time here. Curious Capybara Curious Capybara holding on for second. Then Ruben Dant in for third. Leo Lamb taking fourth place today. Good job, Leo. Timon Kruger, Rose Beast Mode. We mentioned him in the broadcast. Getting up. I didn't even notice that Burke was in our field. That's what happens when you blow a group up like that. Berk Kayan, though, the Turkish rider in 6th. Spanish strongman Kiko Areal in for 7th. French riders Jeffrey Muller. I mean, these are all big names up in the front here on top of the table. Toward Alan Young, he's with MTNT, Swedish rider at 9th. And then it's going to be the Dane, Ronnie Eriksson, rounding out our top 10 here today. Only Ruben, I think, Nathan, will be happy with that time.
Man. Well, I wonder, that's a good question, actually. What are the top times across this? We could probably check that out, actually.
Yeah, well, I highly doubt anybody else got to 26:22, to tell you the truth. That I would stand on that statement. When you look at what the average watts were for that, the rider on top of the table there, Core, that's going to be off the charts.
Yeah, it'll be pretty big. I'm actually signing in to see if I can get.
So do you think it's over 6? Because I do.
Well, actually, Core is not on Zwift Power, but I don't think you have to be on Zwift Power to be in the Zwift Games necessarily. I have to double check about that. But
yeah, interesting. You would think you would, right? But
well, that's one of the cool things about this is that you can be involved in Zwift Games, and the new Zwift Games tracking that's happening all on Zwift's website is one of the new features. So they have the overall, each one of the stages, etc., not on Zwift Power any longer. The races are on Zwift Power, but they are tracking it all on the Zwift.com over at Zwift Games there. So.
And we certainly could find out that these guys are, world tour pros or riding on a pro tour team, and we just didn't know who they were. And, it's not that those numbers are impossible.
Do you know what's actually pretty awesome? What I'm seeing here? Ruben Dant has the fastest time at 1 hour and 10 minutes right now in the GC.
So that's based on, this is stage 3.
Yeah. So stage 1, 1954, stage 2, 23:23, and stage 3, 26:43. I wonder if that was this
What's
one
interesting
just now.
is there's going to be riders that won't have done every stage that could jump in for stage 3 without having a GC time, because this has elements of an Omnium and elements of a tour, right? So, this is time-based racing that we're looking at, but you could get a stage time without having done the previous stages.
Mm-hmm.
You can come and go as you please with these races. You can do this stage 3 multiple more times and looking to get a better time. But so I'm wondering, does Tor have a recorded time for stage 1 or stage 2?
No, and I think perhaps there's some awesome stuff happening in the background to clear things up here a little bit. So I really like that maybe Zwift is taking care of
real-time fact checking.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks like something, because take a look at this. I'm just going to show it on screen because this is great with Zwift to put together. We have the overall right here currently as it stands. Ruben Dant at the top. We've got Thomas Thrall, the Canadian national champion. Look at this. Who's who? I mean, pretty awesome to see.
And this is in community Zwift Games because like Thomas and Brian Duffy were racing on Saturday. And I'm sure there's multiple, but both of those guys are double dipping, right? They're racing
community,
in the big time broadcast and racing in the community.
Yep, because this is time based versus the points based, so you can see the difference there between the two.
And Ruben, though, 7 seconds quicker.
Look at Nicholas Fournier here at 19:42 on stage 1 and a 23:24, but just needs a better stage 3. You see how this is a huge difference with this. Stage 3 is really going to change things up on the overall, I think.
26:22 was the recorded time that we're not seeing, right? So I think that is commendable, what we're looking at right now. Very happy to see that.
I'm happy to see that there seems to be some post-verification, at least a little bit going on here with the fact that this is being recorded the way that it is. These are all, I mean, everyone I'm seeing here is at a certain level of verification. So I really appreciate Zwift and what they've done with this here.
Yeah, I second that. 988 racing score for Ruben.
That's huge, actually. Let's just do a quick jump in with the ladies. I just want to highlight
Even
the ladies here
impressed
with the times that they have. We've got a 1:14:45 from Taha Cooper. Mitsuo Ofo there as well. And then Carrie Stewart from Wahoo, 1:17. Celine Colombi is there at 1:17:06. Marina Arce, Illy Gardner, Carolina Leon, and then Phoebe Law, Michelle Bilot, and then GMK Serrata. Liz Van Houweling just outside the top 10 and 11th. So obviously the ladies also that are top riders taking their part in the Zwift Games as well for the overall in the community. Love to see it there.
Yeah, I saw one of the ladies there had a 27:52 for her stage time today. That's super
That's
quick.
Celine Colombi. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
The Italian.
The Italian is a monster because that decidedly different day of racing out here for sure.
Well, that's going to be it for our coverage today. I really appreciate everybody jumping in with us. As you saw, you can get involved. So if you've done stage 1 and 2, get your stage 3 in. 4 we will not be covering, but we will be in with the Zwift Games Queen stage actually next week on the Epic. So that'll be a good one. Stage 4 is in London. You got Fox Hill. That's going to be a tough one for sure. It'd be interesting to see how that changes things up. Climbing stages 3 and 4, then the Epic next week.
Sounds great.
Well, we appreciate everybody jumping in with us. Thanks for tuning in from Dave and I. We'll see you next week right here on Zwift Live, where we cover all the community stuff, as always, from Dave and I. Right on.